Okay, let's kick this off while Alex gets that sorted. My name is John, and I work on the comms and the community team for Gnosis. And this is the first community call of 2023. So I hope everyone had a great holiday and Happy New Year. And please note that this call is being recorded. So thank you for making the time. We're happy to have you here, and we're going to go over some Gnosis ecosystem updates. We have team leads from across the ecosystem. And then we'll have a conversation with Sebastian Burgel from HOPR, a decentralized peer-to-peer mixnet. And Sebastian, correct me if I'm wrong pronouncing your last name.
You're right on.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Okay. Then I think what we'll do, because I still need to add Alex as a speaker, having a little trouble there, we'll just turn it over to Marv for updates about Gnosis Guild.
Cool. Hey, thanks, John. Hey, everybody. My name's Marvin from Gnosis Guild. Hope everyone had a happy new year. Yeah, so our team is currently in the cooldown period of our build cycle, but we met earlier this week for what we call a commitment ceremony. This is when we pitch, discuss, and vote on where we'd like to focus our time and energy for the next build cycle, which starts on Monday and lasts for 6 weeks. So today I thought I'd just, briefly explain a few of the projects that we voted to work on. The first one is an update to GnosisDAO's governance, primarily to address 2 issues. One being poorly formatted or spam-like snapshot proposals being submitted without really going through the rest of the governance process. And the other being the lack of clarity on who are the largest GnosisDAO stakeholders. So we'll be working on a couple things to address these issues, like the creation of a delegate program that may include things like fixed terms and delegation caps and other things. The second thing we're working on is a new version of our roles modifier. This mod we quietly released last year, and we'll be making a formal announcement about soon. This mod allows organizations to, create roles for their safe and set granular permissions for specific addresses. And it's already a key component of Karpatky's DAO treasury framework, which is used in both GnosisDAO and ENSDAO. So anyway, the new roles mod will basically be a rewrite of the mod, including pluggable transaction unwrapping, the decoupling of membership validation, and a whole host of other functionality. Finally, I just want to mention 2 other exciting projects we're working on, which involves integrating Zodiac into other established communities. The first is for Urbit's recently launched Discord and chat alternative called Landscape. This is where we can integrate Zodiac, so groups of Urbit IDs, which are NFTs, could act as signers on safes. The other project is adding Zodiac to Nouns Builder, which was released by Zora at the tail end of last year, as a way for folks to easily spin up a noun-style DAO. So the Zodiac integration would essentially give these newly formed DAOs the option to plug into the safe ecosystem and open up more modular configurations, such as running parallel governance mechanisms and more. So yeah, both of these communities are building things that excite us. So we're pretty eager to start working on them. Yeah, we're working on a couple more things, including some port updates to Tabula, which was sort of like a side quest from last year that allows DAOs, multi-sigs, and any Ethereum-based account to own publications together. But yeah, if you want to learn more about that and the other projects we're working on, you can hop into our Discord. We build in the open, so we have Discord threads for everything we work on, and anyone is welcome to comment or just follow along. Yep, that's it. Thanks for having us, John.
Thanks, Marv. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this conversation and just kind of momentum behind delegation for GnosisDAO turns out, and excited to see that you're all working on it over there. If you would like to learn more about anything that Marv mentioned, we're live tweeting on the call, so just scroll down there and there's some links that are relevant to Marv's update. Let's turn it over to Alex for updates about COW.
Hey, John, thank you. And thank you for the invite. Always a pleasure to be here with Gnosis family. And today I have 3 quick updates. I think one was already shared in the last call, but anyways, I'm gonna share it again. In case you missed it, CowSwap or /Cow protocol now has the capability of trading with limit orders, and these limit orders are quite different than your standard limit orders that you can find in DeFi or in centralized exchanges, because these limit orders are surplus capturing limit orders. And this means that you get the price at the execution time. So if the price falls below the trigger, the upside belongs to you and not the order taker. Additionally, these limit orders allow you to do unlimited order management. It means that you can manage your orders without having to pay fees because of Cow Protocol's delegated trading model execution. You just sign a message. And it also comes handy when it comes for order placement, because then you can use the same crypto balance that you have in your wallet to place as many orders that you wish at once, meaning that Cow Protocol will start filling your orders based on when they hit the limit prices, and as soon as you run out of balance, then the orders won't get executed. No, you need to top up again. Then another big update that was a big feature requested from our community is that we now enable the selling of ETH natively, meaning that you're not forced to wrap your ETH into WETH. And this is basically because the introduction of ERC 1271 into the protocol allows basically to automate and like wrap all this ETH wrapping like behind the scenes for the users. It does come at a slight cost, which is trading at a bit more expense than if you were to doing it with WETH directly. But now at least you're not forced to do this wrapping, and you can choose what path you can decide to take. And also, the last short update was that we launched this tutorial for creating smart orders with Cow Protocol. And basically, this tutorial provides a step-by-step description of how you can actually create smart orders, meaning that you can actually, kind of make your orders from a safe or a smart contract much more smarter. And the example facilitates the custom trading logic and use of a safe as the backbone of these tutorials. So if you're interested in see how you can leverage this smart order placement, please make sure to check it out. And the last thing I wanted to do is to do like a little bit of a retrospective of 2022, because it was like a very important year for CowSwap, /Cow Protocol, and especially in relation to Gnosis, because in February of this year, it was the kind of like the Independence Day that the spin-off was officially announced, from Gnosis, and it was the official launch of CowDAO. If not mistaken, it was GIP 13 that kind of like went into voting and execution at the end of early beginning of February. So that was great. Then from there, the team behind Cow Protocol raised $15 million to continue the development of the Cow Protocol, and they did so kind of like following the steps of Gnosis in the sense of committing for decentralization. So we did everything via DAO to DAO trades and smart contracts, so without any like kind of like legal documents in the middle. And then from there, kind of like the Cow protocol took off. We were able to surpass Paraswap and Matcha in market share. We achieved the highest user retention across all DEX aggregator. We've traded more than $18 billion in volume. So that's a lot of money protected from MEV. And then most importantly, with giving this sort of surplus, or can be understood also as cashback, a total of $20 million that has been given into the hands of the users. So hands-on, 2022 was a very good year, and we're very excited for 2023 and see what's next. And this is all from my side.
Cool. Thank you, as always, Alex, for those great updates. And yeah, excited for the cow team going forward this year. Next, we are going to turn it over to Dash for a Gnosis chain update. And then we'll do a quick forum update, and then we'll jump into our discussion with Sebastian and HOPR.
GM, everyone. I hope you can all hear me well. Today I will be giving an update on our recent developments, our bridge roadmap, and our organization development plans. Firstly, on our core devs roadmap, we're making progress on several fronts, including implementing withdrawals known as the Shanghai hard fork. We're making headway in implementing account abstraction for better user experience, and we're also working on introducing block space rent. We are focusing on improving documentation and creating official protocol specs to be able to compare us easily with Ethereum. Additionally, we have recently onboarded an experienced developer, Philip Schomers, and our validator team is consolidating lessons learned and refactoring our documentation from the merge. In terms of bridge development, we are working on Beaconverse and inter-beacon bridges, a modular bridge architecture, and the trustless bridge MVP in partnership with Succinct Labs. And we're also building necessary infra such as the bridge monitor and restoring ALM. Lastly, our organization development plan for Q1 2023 includes building momentum with a clear vision and roadmap, building basic team practices, and we are building a knowledge management with Notion as a team wiki, and we're trying to do a public by default approach. These plans will help us create a decentralized ecosystem, improve collaboration, and productivity. We're making steady progress in all areas, and we look forward to sharing more updates with you soon. Thanks, John. Back to you.
Cool, great. Thank you, Dash. And I mean, if 2022 is any indication, I think this coming year is going to be, as I like to say, a real barn burner for Gnosis chain. So exciting times for all the teams across the Gnosis chain, or Gnosis ecosystem, excuse me. Let's jump into a quick forum update. There was a new post by Gnosis about new accountability measures to track the status of funded GIPs. And basically, it's a template that teams will fill out if they've authored a GIP and their GIP has passed quorum, they've been funded. Going forward, teams will be required to update the status of their work. So basically, according to their own metrics, they just have to report where they are in terms of their GIP. And then funding will be broken up over time so that when teams reach their said metrics that they've set for themselves, if they can prove that they've met them, then additional funding will be released. So we're sharing the tweet with you here. If you'd like to learn more about that post on the forum, you can just click the link and navigate over there. In terms of discussions on the forum, there is a phase 1 discussion, basically like a temp check, and that's called "Should GnosisDAO manage native bridge funds in a way that improves the Gnosis chain ecosystem while managing risk properly?" And that's a very active discussion. So again, we'll share the link with you here. If you'd like to jump in, please do. In terms of snapshot, we just had a GIP that passed quorum today. That's GIP 74. Should GnosisDAO support Gnosis Chain Explorer hosted by Beacon Chain? And the Beacon Chain is an open source explorer that provides users with an easy and accessible way to explore the Gnosis chain. It integrates both the consensus and execution layer into a single explorer. It also allows users or validators to monitor their machines on a mobile app. So pretty cool. Alrighty. Let's finally jump into our discussion with Sebastian, who founded HOPR. And Sebastian, thanks for your patience. There was a lot of updates there, but
No worries.
yeah.
Great to hear what's actually going on the Gnosis side. I'm
Yeah.
an active user of all the things, but great to hear, what you guys are working on behind the scenes.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad you found it interesting. So I'll do a quick intro of HOPR, and then we can just let's talk about you and how you founded HOPR or why. HOPR is a decentralized and incentivized peer-to-peer mixnet open to anyone who wants to join and run a node. And also, most importantly, HOPR is on Gnosis chain, and Sebastian is a good friend. So yeah, Sebastian, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us why you founded HOPR?
Yeah, sure. So thanks again for having me here and having a chance to talk to more Gnosis friends. So I've been working in the Ethereum space since I would say almost the Genesis block. I still remember when Ethereum launched. It was like I was working on my PhD and working from home for some inexplicable reason on that day. And yeah, it was an eye-opening moment back then to see what this technology would enable us to build. And for me, it was really seeing then working kind of fast forward the next 4 years. I worked as a consultant, so we had a small dev shop based here in Switzerland. And we would educate people. So we had workshops to show people what Solidity is and educate both devs and lawyers and everything in between. And then we started some software development. And one thing that was pretty popular here in Switzerland was ICOs, right? So there was this whole ICO craziness wave. So that was good for us. So we grew a team. We were learning about these new technologies and building things. And eventually, what was good when this ICO craziness was a little bit over was that there were people who were actually seeking to build truly decentralized applications. And that's interesting, right? For technically minded people, it's an interesting challenge. But one thing that we then looked at is like, okay, that's fine. On decentralized applications, we understand how we send money around, but how do you actually send data around in a truly decentralized and privacy respecting fashion? And there was simply no good solution to do that. And that was really the starting point of HOPR, this point of realizing, okay, there is no Web3 native way for sending data around from A to B in a fashion that does not reveal more about myself than I want to reveal at this point.
Interesting. So, but you have a background in did you say mechanical or chemical engineering?
I did electrical engineering. I then pivoted more to like microtechnologies. I spent at least 1 year pretty much nonstop in a clean room doing microfabrication and stuff like that. Then for biomedical applications, but yeah, I would say the common denominator for all the things I did was always software development. So yeah, all of that was having a fair software context. So what was new to me and what really fascinated me about Ethereum coming up is you could program something differently than before. I could program something that would hold money in a way that was not shut downable, right? And even though I think it wasn't the greatest meme for Ethereum to launch, like I think the early Ethereum meme was like this world computer meme. I think like retrospectively it was maybe not great, but still like it captivated me. It captivated me that you could code something, that there was just pure code that would hold money and that would potentially hold like tremendous amount of wealth. And yeah, so that was something to me that was absolutely mind-boggling.
And in terms of privacy or censorship resistance, what was it about your was there something that happened like intellectually or in your personal life that really piqued your interest in privacy, or did you come upon this technology that offered the capability for privacy by default, or at least theoretically, that you became interested?
Yeah, so it was kind of going hand in hand with realizing decentralized systems, running a bunch of Ethereum nodes, IPFS nodes, and whatnot, and realizing that privacy is obviously an issue. I guess all of us are familiar with Facebook, with Google, and all the not so nice things that these companies do. But then eventually realizing that what happens if we decentralize all the things, right? So decentralizing all the things seems to be a common denominator across many Web3 crypto founders. But then realizing that, hey, what if we actually did this? What does that mean? And then eventually I realized, well, that means that all the crooks of the old world now have permissionless innovation for data harvesting. And still to this day, I think that's something that is crazy to me, that this is totally under discussed, that we're allowing permission, we're opening permissionless innovation also up to all the bad people on the planet, right? So of course, we're thinking all positive and there's a lot of greatness in the space, but this permissionless technology is also opened up to all the data harvesters of the old world. They don't care that you call it Web3. They don't care that you call it decentralized. They will look at these systems and say, hey, that's kind of cool because, Web 2 is kind of painful for me. I want a data harvest. I want to make money with your data. And there's all these annoying regulations that are brought in to make my game kind of hard. But now it's a peer-to-peer system. I'm just a peer like anybody else. And maybe my peer has one, a not so explicitly visible goal of data harvesting about everyone else what's going on in a network. So there was really, to me, an eye-opening moment of realizing, okay, the only thing that actually protects individuals in peer-to-peer networks is strong privacy technology. And yeah, that was for me something very powerful, and one of the reasons why I thought, hey, it might actually be worthwhile to really lean in and find a proper solution that protects privacy in peer-to-peer networks on the most fundamental layer of sending data from A to B.
Yeah, I like that kind of frame. I probably haven't thought about it in that way, like the assumption that all networks are adversarial, or at least if you're sharing your data on a network, then that environment is inherently adversarial. So therefore, there should be privacy by default, measures in place for you to protect your identity.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We think about adversarial models in a context of consensus models, right? And we come to great lengths of defending these consensus models on, against Byzantine fault tolerance and all sorts of really, really nice things. But what I'm missing is really an adversarial thinking with regards to privacy. So yeah, and if you once you switch that on, you realize, oh my God, this is actually pretty bad. And if we are striving for a naive version of a decentralized future, that might not make us end up in a good space.
Okay, so let's talk about what is a decentralized peer-to-peer mixnet, and how does HOPR, run that? How does it architect a mixnet?
Sure. So let me give a high-level overview of what that means. So let's start with what happens in a normal peer-to-peer network, right? So I'm having a node, for example, on Ethereum, and let's say Doge is having another one, right? So Doge is sending data packets to Sebastian. Sebastian sends something to Doge. That's fine. And these data packets might be stuff such as transactions that are in the mempool or blocks that we send around, whatever. So while doing that, Sebastian is exposing his IP address, right? That's simply how the internet works. If I send something to Doge and Doge to me, then we know each other in a fairly intimate way. Like this IP address is literally your home address on the internet, right? It's something that can be linked to all your activities that you do there. So instead of sending this information directly, in HOPR, what we're doing is we're relaying this information through peers in this larger HOPR network. So data packets are hopping around and being relayed. That's a little bit what our name HOPR should suggest and where it comes from. So data is coming from, let's say, Doge, and is going to Alice, who sends it to Bob, who sends it to Charlie, who sends it to Sebastian. So the only thing that I see is Charlie's IP address, but Charlie's not the originator of the data, that's Doge. But I don't know where the sender, where he sits and who it actually is. Now, for the ones who are familiar with Tor, that is in fact very similar to how Tor works. But it's kind of not very private. So there's two things which we change here. The first one is, instead of directly, when Alice gets a packet from Doge, she's not directly passing it on. She is caching this packet for a short amount of time. She receives a bunch of other packets, and then she's shuffling them up and sending them out in a different order. So incoming and outgoing packets cannot be linked to one another. And that makes a mixnet, that's why it's called mixnet, right? Because you're mixing and shuffling up these packets. You're transforming them also, obviously. So you really cannot link incoming and outgoing packets, even for strong adversaries, such as your internet service provider, who obviously sees every single data packet that comes into your router at home and goes out of it. So that brings way stronger privacy. And the second significant improvement that is specific to HOPR is the incentives. Everyone here can ask themselves, are you running a Tor node? And the likely answer is no, I'm not running a Tor node. So I would ask you, why don't you run a Tor node? Isn't that a cool thing to do? And then you might say, well, it's kind of cool, but like, why would I really do that? So we think that in order to bring infrastructure to a globally internet scale, there need to be economic incentives. Probably Jeff Bezos would not have started Amazon Web Services if we would all expect computers to run for free of charge, right? So yeah, we bring incentives into this mixnet. We have a mechanism that's called proof of relay. So Alice is only getting paid if she can provide a proof that she actually forwarded Doge's packet correctly. So that is on a high level what we do. So in a summary, again, it's this decentralized network for packet relay. It's mixing of packets for strong privacy, and it's incentives via our proof of relay mechanism for a decentralized incentive model that is cheat proof.
So I know HOPR has a very nice DApp node. Right? I've seen it, and I would love to have one. So you mentioned incentives, like financial incentives. Sounds like your node runners can earn a yield. But beyond that, how is HOPR planning on growing its community of at-home stakers? Are there any upcoming programs, or how do you think through the problem of really motivating people to spin up a node?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, it is super important to have a properly decentralized mixnet. It does not help us if all HOPR nodes are running at AWS or at you choose your provider, right? If all these nodes are running within the same cloud, it is even worse, I would argue, than for blockchains, because, well, the one thing that we do offer in the HOPR network is privacy. It's transport level privacy. So there must be really a decentralized network of mixed node operators. So indeed, we have a partnership with DAppNode and also with Avado, where you can get some branded, I think, very nice looking blue DAppNode. I really like them. You can check those out, and you will earn basically a fraction of the fees that are being spent by the sender of data packets in the HOPR network. So that's how you grow nodes. To be honest, actually, we have currently over 150 nodes on the network. We currently artificially constrain that because we want to grow this network in a way that doesn't just crash and catch fire. So we're slowly ramping up and opening up this network more and more. If you think about from a bandwidth perspective, for the first couple of use cases that we have in mind, we're actually fine. So for now, we don't need these crazy numbers of large number of mixed node operators that you see for blockchains. A couple of hundred nodes that we currently have are fine. And again, the economic incentives for that are paid by those who seek to use the network. So if you want to build a private chat app, if you want to build a private medtech application, or whatever you have in mind, like utilization of the network is paid by you as an app vendor on top of it, and it's being earned by those who run Hopper nodes. There's like one use case specifically that we're working on right now, which might be interesting for folks here, which is RPCH, which is basically an RPC provider like Infura, but it's actually private because requests from your wallet are routed through this network. So maybe that's something that we can speak later on for like 1 or 2 minutes in more depth.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. I'm keen to hear more about that. Is it as easy as just setting up your wallet with this RPCH, and then all transactions will be routed through that RPCH?
Unfortunately, it's a bit more complicated than that. And why is that? Because currently your wallet understands technologies such as HTTP, the protocol that's used on the internet to send data from A to B. Your wallet, unfortunately, does not speak the language of Hopper, so to say. So basically, we need to teach your wallet to speak Hopper, so to say. So that requires integration of our SDK that we're working on. To basically, it's this bubble fish, right? That makes your wallet speak Hopper, so to say. That's one way to go about it, and we're starting to work with a bunch of wallets to support RPCH. And we specifically focus on Gnosis Chain. Gnosis Chain is really our home turf, so Gnosis Chain will be the first chain that will be supported for RPCH. The second thing that we're looking at is for anyone to run this, right? So it could be that, your favorite wallet might not yet support and have our SDK integrated. So what we can do there is you install some software that you're running locally that is, so to say, again, this translator. On the one hand, it speaks HTTP, which any wallet understands today. On the other hand, it also speaks Hopper and forwards the requests of your wallets into the Hopper network. So these are both options that we're working on. We're starting with the former approach, so we're integrating this Hopper SDK into various wallets, so that you can access Gnosis Chain in the most private fashion ever. And you can be certain that RPC providers such as Infura or Alchemy, some of these multi-billion-dollar companies can really not data harvest you. They cannot collect your IP address, and they cannot link your various accounts. And that's something that to me personally is really important, because many of us here have Anon accounts, right? And that's fine. I think we should really build systems that allow Anons to create value. And that's something that I feel very strongly about, and I would really love to see much more of. So you shouldn't have to fear that, there's an RPC provider who can link your Anon account to your main account. That's broken. That shouldn't be the case. So while Ethereum L1s is, on the on-chain side, not private, we should not make it, at least not worse. And that's why we're working on RPCH as the first truly private RPC providers that Anons and privacy conscious humans alike can just use.
Super cool. I mean, I would really love to see just like the user experience at some point get to a place where it's just like a click of a button, like running a VPN, and then you're set up so that all of your transactions are routed through this RPCH, or that your privacy is ensured. Let's talk about why Gnosis Chain is your home turf and why you've chosen to build on the chain.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, we've been around with Hopper for a while. So for the past 3 years, we explored a bunch of ecosystems. And in fact, fun fact here is we plan to launch on mainnet. And so we were working on that. It was 2020. Things were kind of calm, a little bit like now. And the thing that was pretty annoying, actually, is we were ready to launch. We had the super early version of Hopper working. We had the Hopper token launch prepared and so on. And it turned out that something annoying was happening, and that is Ethereum utilization picked up, right? So people started doing all sorts of random things on Ethereum. Gas prices went up like 50x compared to what they used to be. And we're like, okay, we as a small product asking our users to pay $10 per transaction, that's insane, right? So we have to come up with another plan. Now, prior to that, we had run test nets on a bunch of other chains. And yeah, so one of the chains that we ran a testnet on was back in the days called XDAI chain. So I guess everyone here knows that XDAI chain then eventually rebranded into Gnosis chain. And for us, all the chains that we checked out, there was really nothing that was as reliable and developer friendly as Gnosis chain. Just to give you some examples, if you run on any sort of sidechain or even L2, like, the spikes in gas prices are crazy. If you build highly automated software like HOPR, that really sucks and makes your life hard. So Gnosis chain is really predictable in that sense. And the other thing is just the stability of the RPC endpoints and the data that your chain gives you. Like if you look at, I don't want to shame other L1s, L1s here in the space, because I think everybody's trying to do a good job. But like, you really don't find anything that is as reliable as Gnosis chain right now. If you look at, for example, I give you one metric that I encourage really people who check out alternative L1s, check at the reorgs that are ongoing. The reorgs that you have some of these super fast and highly scalable L1 chains that are ongoing is absolutely crazy. So, and that really messes up UX, right? So if you build something where you expect finality, stuff to be final, and then they're super deep, like, 50 block deep reorgs, that messes up everything. And it's really absolutely crazy if you build, again, highly automated software like we do at HOPR. So yeah, that's why we are on Gnosis chain, because it's the most reliable, most reliable ecosystem there is out there that is still cheap to use.
Well, I'm excited that Hopper's on Gnosis chain, and I also think that Gnosis chain and Hopper are very value aligned in terms of the way that we think about privacy, credible neutrality, censorship resistance. So I think it's a
100%.
good fit. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry if I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, for me, it's great to see, Gnosis also with the move of this merge to proof of stake, pushing natively as first-class citizens, so to say, for home stakers. That was amazing to see. And so being natively value aligned on decentralization and privacy, even though I'm very sad that it's not so popular anymore, but also, Tornado Cash, and specifically Tornado Cash Nova being very deeply integrated to Gnosis chain is something that for me was a great signal, right? This is a place for where privacy people in the Ethereum ecosystem go and do things.
Sebastian, tell us about your upcoming privacy hackathon in Istanbul.
Oh yeah, totally. We are co-organizing a privacy focused hackathon in Istanbul in end of April, I think. And so what we're planning to do there on the HOPR side is really grow privacy for crypto wallets. So we want Ethereum wallets to be much more private than they are today. And to that end, we're currently working on an SDK and some service infrastructure that I mentioned earlier that will allow you to route your wallet's requests through what we call RPCH. And again, in a nutshell, it's like Infura, but private, because all your requests are being routed through the HOPR network. So whatever your favorite wallet is, you are invited to join us and integrate this thing into a wallet to make it more private than it has ever been before. And that's what we're planning to address in Istanbul with a bunch of other privacy-focused projects, and grow it there. So it's not going to be a big event like many of the ETH Global events. We're really trying to focus on this niche of privacy, make people aware of why that matters, and get people to build cool privacy technologies, which is again the only last defender of our individual sovereignty and rights in decentralized networks.
Very cool. I feel like we could just talk for hours about privacy and all this stuff. I got into crypto because of Tor and the deep web, and then discovering that there's just this whole world there, and also what is privacy when it comes to your online digital life, and what is this really weird onion router, and why am I able to access all this information that I wasn't able to access prior to running Tor. So great to talk with you, Sebastian. Really happy that you're building on Gnosis Chain, and excited to see what happens in terms of development for HOPR this coming year. I think we'll call it here because we've gone a little bit over time. But thank you, everyone else.
Thanks again. Lastly, I just wanted to give a shout out to the 2 projects that we did hear about from both CowSwap, which we recommend to our entire community to be used as the default way to swap HOPR tokens on both mainnet and Gnosis chain, and also to Gnosis Safe, which we use from HOPR DAO to HOPR Association internally. Amazing to see the products that are being spun out of Gnosis. Keep going, keep shipping, and keep coming up with amazing things. Thanks for all the things you did over the years, guys.
And if there's any other things you'd like to show really quick, like any campaigns or your website, please go ahead.
Yes. So if you want to learn more about us, hoprnet.org, HOPR net.org is our main page. If you're interested in having a more private wallet, RPCH is going to be your friend. We will launch at ETH Denver end of February, early March. So from then on, you will have a more private wallet than ever before. If you want to hack on that, we also have on our Twitter account on the HOPRnet, it's called on Twitter. You can find more about our hackathon and sign up there and get hacking on privacy.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Sebastian. Thank you, everyone else, for all your time. Thanks, Marv and the Gnosis Guild crew, and Alex, CowSwap, and Dash, and Gnosis Chain. Thank you, and we will see you next month on the second Thursday of February, which, let's see here, that will be February 9th at the same time, so 4 p.m. UTC. We'll have the GnosisDAO Community Call here on the Twitter Spaces. And have a great month. Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good day, all.